My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Skinamarink. Now, this is a movie that I've heard nothing about at all, but then all of a sudden, everybody is talking about this movie. I've heard people say it's one of the scariest movies ever. I've heard people say it made them cry because they were so scared. I heard people say they had to turn it off at the last 20 minutes because it was just too much. And then I looked up the trailer and got a sense of the presentation of this movie, and I'm just like, shit, this looks great. This might be the next Blair Witch Project, the next Paranormal Activity. It looked like it could be revolutionary. So I watched this movie, and after watching it, I do not believe anybody who says this movie is terrifying for even a second. I just don't. I think this movie is incredibly well made. Carl Edward Ball, he's the director behind this movie, and the direction is masterful. I love the look of this movie. Each shot is perfect, and it's got this great grainy quality that makes it feel like you're watching a home movie from the 70s. And because of the grainy quality, not the picture isn't perfect. So there's moments where you're just examining every frame of it, waiting to see something. And then it's just lingers enough for you to build some sort of anticipation, which I found to be effective in moments. Like the scariest scene in this movie is a part where this one character looks under the bed a few times, and it just really got to me. So, credit where credit is due. Carl Edward Ball has great talent behind him. The issue is that this movie should not have been a movie. If this was 20 minutes or a segment on a VHS movie, I'd be like, this is brilliant. This is one of the best horror things I've ever seen. But at an hour and 40-minute long runtime, this movie is far, far too long. There is just simply no excuse for this movie to be as long as it is. This movie is legitimately just shots of hallways and the ceiling and TVs. And that's the entire movie. I am not exaggerating when I say that. There's a couple characters in this movie who you might only see them once or twice. It's just an exercise in tension, in atmosphere. And at short film lengths, I'd be blown away by it. But there's literally no story or characters. If you read the plot, it says, two kids wake up in the middle of the night and their father isn't there and all the doors are disappearing. And I guess that kind of happens, but there's zero character work, there's zero emphasis on story. And look, I'm okay if a movie's strength isn't the story. Mad God is one of my favorite movies of this year, and it just relies on its visuals and atmosphere. But at least there was some sort of structure to it. There was interesting, unique visuals. But this movie is just more of the same. If you watch it for 10 minutes, you've seen all it has to offer for the next hour and a half. And like I said, the directing is great. I love how this movie is shot. I love how almost every object has a texture that stands out when you look at the Lego blocks. I love the use of the TV to create more atmosphere. The sound is great. Anytime anyone speaks, it's all muffled up. But there's just nothing to latch onto besides that. If there was an actual story, actual characters, and the presentation was the exact same, I'd be over the moon on this movie. I'd be like, this is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. But that's not the case here. And this movie's smart enough to realize that people don't like jump scares, but then it also has some of the laziest jump scares I've seen. Because it just lingers and lingers. And if there was just a creepy face with nothing, then I'd be like, oh wow, that really got under my skin. And there's a few moments where that does happen. But it goes from quiet, quiet, and then super bright and super loud, just like that. And it's just like, so you get rid of all the sound and visuals and then boom! That's just lazy. I do actually like some of the editing here, how one scene transitions from the next. It has a very very seamless quality to it. It just pisses me off because I love so much of what's on display, but I was so freaking bored while watching this movie. There was no sense of structure, just nothing. And it's made all the more frustrating when you see real potential in the presentation and the filmmaking behind this movie, and it's just so close, yet so far. Like, it's definitely a movie I won't forget, but it's not a movie I'll ever seek out to watch again. And it's just... I think I said my piece. And actually bums me out too, because the director is Carl Edward Barr, and if you look up the filming locations of this movie, it was actually shot in Edmonton, Alberta. And I don't know if I should say this or not, but I'm very close to Edmonton, Alberta. So it's just like, oh, this was made so close to me. And that made me want to love it even more. But, shit. Just, I don't know if a movie's ever bummed me out. Well, I see the potential as much as I do here, to the point where I want to love this movie so much, but then I just watch the movie. I said my piece. Masterful direction, real potential in this filmmaker, but work with an actual script. And even if it's just a generic haunted house movie, with this level of craftsmanship behind it, it could be one of the all-time greats. And I really hope that his next movie deserves his talent a lot more. So I'm going to go ahead and give Skinamarink a 4 out of 10. It's an experimental student film that's just way too long. Shit, like, I didn't even hear about this movie until very recently, and I'm still incredibly disappointed. Just, this one hurts. This one really does. So, so much I loved about it. Did you watch Skinamarink? I was going to make a comment, but decided not to. But what did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon. And Gavin, out.